I'm present. Let's see how you, I'm gonna put my glasses on. I don't think we have anything that we are considering to remove from the consent. So we'll go on to number 3. This- Before we go to 3, let's approve the cemetery board minutes from the last meeting.
Mr. Calhoun,
Now, what do I do on
you
here?
want to do the roll call?
Huh?
Do you want to do the roll call?
Yes, I thought you automatically did it.
It does, but since we have to
Okay,
call you, I'll go ahead.
please call the roll.
Board Member Cook,
Present.
Board Member Groby. Present. Board Member McWilliams, absent. Board Member Story.
Here.
Chairman Calhoun.
Here. Okay,
I would move to approve the consent docket with the minutes.
there's one thing I'd like to be put in those minutes that we had in our meeting, but it didn't get put in there. And we had a possible number of tracts or lots, I guess, that we found that could be reclaimed by the city. And I'd like that to show up in our minutes because we had a discussion on that at the last meeting. And I'd ask,
Yeah, she would do that, Ellie.
huh?
Ellie is her name.
Do you know the number?
Not off the top of my head, but I can find it and give it to her.
Okay, I'd like that to appear in there, because we did discuss it. And we also recommended that it be taken to the council for their consideration, which I guess you've already done. Okay, now I'll entertain the motion to approve the minutes. With the
You
change.
should be able to click the title, Bobby.
Oh, okay. I never found them, I guess.
You gotta go first, Bobby.
I gotta go up here.
Right there, then you turn close.
Okay.
Now it's there.
But on the minutes?
Well, I don't think.
It's on the minutes with the change. Okay. We'll get it figured out here in a minute.
Marty, are you making the motion?
I made the motion.
Yeah, I say.
Okay, I didn't hear who seconded, but
Mr. Calhoun, do you vote yes?
What?
Do you vote yes?
Yes.
Okay, I'll mark it.
Okay, I don't think we have anything in number 2. Let's go to item number 3, information items, and hear from the cemetery administrators. Cynthia.
Thank you. Okay, so I've got a few things to mention. I know at our last meeting, we talked about what beautification efforts, we could make at the cemetery, such as flowers in front of the statue or landscaping that area off Drive 1 that is that circular area. And so,
Excuse me just a minute. These items that you bring up, I'd like them to be at least summarized in our minutes.
okay, yeah, Ellie would be the one, she does the minutes, I don't do the minutes, but yeah, she's hearing you, so. So yesterday, the Keep Durant Beautiful executive board met for the first time. And so I gave a little bit of a presentation to them about beautification of the cemetery and just what we've, talked about here. And I thought I got a very positive response. And so they did say that the cemetery would be the first project that they tackle as a board. The board members are going to,
Do they understand they need to work through you and working on that out there?
yes. And so there were some ideas that some of the board members have had, but they're going to, put together, each of them put together some ideas that they have, and we'll come up with something on that. So that was all very positive. So that's the direction that I'm going, for that. And
I'd like to mention something, when you talk to them the next time, be sure that whatever they do fits in with what you're gonna be doing on drainage and so forth out there.
Sure. I'm actually a member of that group as well,
Oh,
and so I'm in the room every time they meet.
good.
yeah, and he was
I'm
there yesterday.
I'm a non-voting member, but
Good.
I'm in the room.
That's good.
Yeah, so I think it was very positive. And the one question that came up with anyone that had a project was, who's gonna water it? And I volunteered to do that. So I do have a trailer with a water tank on it, so I can do that. That's how I've been watering the crepe myrtles that are out there behind the statue. And I was relieved to see the leaves are coming back in on them. I was a little concerned because they're late bloomers, and every time I went out there, I thought, oh no, because we've got 10 of them. But they are starting to come back in, so they have all shown signs of coming back. And I think once they start blooming, it'll be beautiful behind that statue. So I look forward to working with the Keep Durant Beautiful Executive Board to get this project underway, and I can certainly update you as things go on. And like Marty said, he was there yesterday, and he'll be involved in it as we move forward.
I would think at some point, if we're carrying water to that it might be, it may end up, probably not now, but may end up being cheaper putting a line in.
Oh, I don't think so.
There's lines across there now, aren't there?
We have one line on Drive 5, but that statue is not close. I can tell you, I have drug hose. It's not close to where
Okay.
that spigot is, but the water tank, I can drive it right up to it, and it works really well. And that's what we've started doing with the crepe myrtles. We water them every 2 to 3 days. We're kind of babying them to get them, back where they need to be. And
I was just thinking, as the projects that this board does, that you're talking to, the beautification, they may, as time goes, get more complex, and it may be something we need to consider while we're
of
doing
how to
this.
do that, sure. If you remember when we planned those crepe myrtles, it was not a good planning time, so we did a lot of watering just to get them kind of through into the fall. But good news is they're all starting to come around, and that's good. And things will progress, and I'll keep you all updated, as I don't know when they're going to meet again for the board. That was a special meeting, and but as this progresses, and then I can let you know where we are on that. The second thing was just to let everybody know that the chapel is now back being fully equipped. We have all of the chairs as of last weekend. I brought all of the chairs back, so we are back to seating 40 in the chapel. The emergency order has expired for the city regarding COVID, so we can allow those larger groups to gather again. And so I did.
Are the funeral homes, have they been told that it's ready to go now and can be used?
Well, they will be. I haven't had a service in there since I brought the chairs back. But what they've been doing, and this is, certainly up to them how they want to handle it, but they've been doing it through Zoom a lot of times. They know what families have lost a family member due to COVID, and I don't. So a lot of times when they make that decision, it's generally based on a family member having been lost to COVID. I do know there's been a lot of funerals that we've had to delay the service because the family themselves are in quarantine and they can't make it. So, but I stay in contact with them about that, and so that will be better. Of course, we still have the pavilion, and that's more outdoors, and that's been more the venue of choice just because it is outside, and people tend to prefer that. They can spread out a little bit more, and especially families, when family members have been kind of traumatized by all of this, they don't want to be in tight quarters. So it's very good that we've had that option for them.
You know, the guidelines that we've gotten is, it's better to do things outside than
Yes.
inside right now.
Yes. Yep, it is. So the other thing is, I don't know whether you all have noticed, but we do have the gates open 24/7 now. And it was, when I first took over, it was open 24/7. And then I guess it's just, different, different people, different management and how they want to try it. But
Do we have anyone checking out there?
yeah, the police department still monitors out there, but they're just feedback that we've gotten. There's a lot of people that do prefer to go out there at night. I'm not one who goes to cemeteries at night, but a lot of people do because they just want to be out in the quiet and not a lot of people around. But
You
they
know-
do still monitor it, and it's been like that probably the last about 3 months. So
That
it's-
vandalism that we had several years ago, happened at night.
yeah,
And the vandalism that happened over around, one of my family's, tracks was at night.
mhm.
Looked like there were a bunch of motorcycles out there and lots of beer.
Recently, or
No,
you're
this
talking about
been
one
about-
near
this
near
been
your
about,
family's spaces?
A couple of years ago.
Okay, yeah. We had a burial, it's now been about a week and a half ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, that we had a lot of people congregate, not so much at the funeral, but they came back later that weekend. And I was aware of that. I was keeping an eye on it. And some of those things we don't have a lot of control over, of what the circumstances are when someone passes. And
Just as long as we're trying to keep track of it out there.
yeah, we were aware. We became aware of that, but that's a family issue in that circumstance. So it wasn't a random event. So that is about all I have. Do any of you have questions for me?
Cynthia, I had a comment real quick. I've got two. First one on those trees. Have you ever seen those green bags or whatever color they are that you can put around the base of the tree?
Yes.
Fill them with water and they just kind of drip for the next
Sure.
2 or 3 weeks.
Yes, I have seen
That
those.
might help you out where you don't have to go out there all the time. And maybe the guys could just go by there and fill those sacks up and it could just drip. And you might go by and just see if they actually had water in them.
Yeah, I can see. I don't know what the cost is, and then times 10.
I don't think they're very expensive.
Okay.
They're not as expensive as you would think.
Okay.
And they're probably worth looking into. It might save you. It's going to cost you money driving out there with your gas and going back and just making you have to take the time to do it. But anyway, that's up to you. But
Okay.
the other thing that I was going to say was that Mr. Calhoun was talking about, you'll always be Mr. Calhoun to me, so. Anyway, he was talking about the vandalism, and there are a lot of these new, solar-powered, security cameras that are really, really good, and they're not that expensive, and they're easy to install. And if you have trouble areas, or even on the gates, we're just looking to see if someone drove through the gate, you might have an idea of who they are, and if there was any kind of vandalism or anything. It might be worth looking at, and most of them are IP protocols, so you guys could see it pretty easy with just, they probably know a little bit about.
I would think, yeah, I would think
And they're not that expensive. They'll surprise you. The quality is getting really good.
Okay.
And you don't have to run electricity, and you don't have to, the solar takes care of all of it. So
Okay.
just only two thoughts I had.
No, I appreciate that. Does anyone else have any questions?
Cindy, I just want to say that I went out to the cemetery yesterday, and everything really looks nice out there. And when we get that big round circle landscaped and around the angel, I think it will be beautiful.
Oh, I think so too.
And taking the sign down in front of the angel, that big old sign, it blocked the view of the angel,
Yeah.
and that looks so much
I
better.
should have brought that up. We did move those signs with the rules and regulations. We moved them outside the gate so you see 'em when you first pull in, so they no longer kind of obstruct the view of the statue. And that was actually one of James Dalton's ideas, to move those, and we just had to get staff, available to do it. But I think that was a good idea at both spots, so that is,
And Cindy, with those crepe myrtles growing down the row behind the angel, they're looking really nice. They're gonna make it.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I was so excited when I saw that, and we have some at home, and I could tell they weren't doing anything yet either. So I think they're just kind of late to see what they were gonna do, but we've been fertilizing them and,
We
Helping 'em along.
had kind of an early time this year. It's a little strange, but I noticed it in some of my trees at my home, that back just before Christmas, we had what seemed like a springtime, and those trees just started budding leaves out, and some of them even got full leaves on them, and then of course the freeze came along and killed them.
yeah,
And I've got one tree that it had one limb, it's closest to the ground, that did that. Rest of the tree didn't. Well, when they started this spring blooming and putting leaves on, that one limb didn't, but it's caught up now. And
Oh,
that may
good.
be what happened out there. That
yeah, because there were some that I was really worried about, and I had somebody look at them, and they told me they're gonna have a hard time kind of coming back, but they will come back, because they're beautiful trees out there, and there's several of them that look like they still are holding on to brown leaves, but he said they're not gone, they're just kind of shocked, and they're
'cause they had a
taking a
little
while
bit
to,
different kind of winter this
Oh, yeah.
time, the trees did.
yeah, so,
Cindy, these watering bags are $20 to $25.
okay. Well,
It's
that's
worth
good to
looking
know.
at.
Sure is,
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Do you want to tell them about the plan for the streets while you're there, or do you want me to?
well.
We kind of worked together on that, so.
Yeah, and I'll let you, because you have more of the knowledge of that, if
Okay.
you want to do that. If there's anything else from me, then I'll let Marty go. His is the next agenda item.
Anybody
So-
else got a question for Cindy?
All right, thank
Thank
you.
you, Cindy.
Thank you, Cindy.
All right, we'll move to part B, Public Works Director report. Marty?
So, me and Cindy worked real hard on identifying the most critical streets